Art Speaks lecture presented by University of Chicago's Graham School. Graham School, I know everybody knows about U Chicago, but not a whole lot of people know quite as much about the Graham School. We're the lifelong division of University of Chicago, dedicated to lifelong education for everybody. And we are very pleased to be receiving a very generous grant from the Terra Foundation in partnership with the Drill House Foundation to present a series of 9 Art Speaks lectures as part of the Art Design Chicago initiative for this year. And the Art Design Chicago project is an effort by Terra Foundation along with their partners to really introduce everybody to the art legacy of Chicago. Thank you for being part of this program. Well, I hope nobody had trouble finding this place, as the street has officially been renamed as the Honorary Joe Brothers Way in 2015 by our mayor, Rahm Emanuel. And the Joe Brothers, of course, they need no introduction. Their artworks and also their generous support of the artist community, and also their broad philanthropic involvement in the city of Chicago and around the world, they speak for themselves. Before we start the lecture tonight, of the two of them presenting Global City, Global Art lecture, we're going to start with a very short video presentation, just a few minutes, to give everybody an idea of how they work, their life, and their creative process.
Thank you very much. How's everybody? Good? Can you tell we're brothers? So for many years in America here, and some people say, are you sure you're brothers? But also, some people said, are you sure you're not twins? So 45 years ago, and in one summer, in the afternoon, my brother and I at our hometown, and we're doing one painting together. Then after that, and we didn't realize that was the beginning of our career. Now it's 45 years later, so we're looking back and so many experience, so many story. So it's very nice to have a chance to share some story to of you. And so what do you think, Sandra?
First of all, thank you so much. In such wonderful, beautiful summer day, I spend the time here to hear Joe brother talking about the old story. Thank you.
So okay, so we started our career when we was very young, right?
Yes.
So I know I'm very young at the time. So in the 73, at that time 73, that was during the still in the middle of the Cultural Revolution, and it's a very difficult period and time in China history, especially for contemporary art. So at that time, when anything we do, my brother and I, we had to close ourselves, lock ourselves in the room, in the basement, and something like that, because everything we did can be related to political. But actually what we did is not, our painting is not political at all. So what do you think in 80?
I think the dream is from long time ago. But like we feel one way, we feel we are very lucky. The Zhou brothers, very lucky. We experience so many things, but also we see a lot of wonderful things. But the life always starts from the very difficult time to begin. I remember like when my brother just born, and then because during the political movement, father is gone, and then we raised from grandma. The grandma, they couple generation, they are very educated. They found the school and found the women college. At home have a lot of collection. The painting from the Song Dynasty, from the Qing Dynasty, the calligraphy. That time, I think in that special period time, we growing up, everything in the reality in life is getting very difficult to make it happening. But only thing in your dream, in your painting, your fantasy in your painting is okay. Why? Because one piece of paper, you can, have all your fantasy. You can have all your imagination, your power. But also, we always remember from my grandma say, everything come and go, only the art is eternity. That kind of spirit is always make like that two brothers. Wow, you cannot make this happening, but painting is okay, right?
Because at that time, the possibility for survive is very limited. It's not many chances. But we feel like art is more naturally related, connected to our heart. So that's why when we was young, and Sandro, my brother, he always showed many different talents. And I remember people, always said, talking to my mom, said, your son is, the older son is very, very intelligent. Could be a lot of, do a lot of different things in the future. But the younger one, he only can do art. Because I didn't show too many possibilities, so it's more narrow. So, and for many years later, I'm thinking back, and maybe it's not so bad for me because I don't have too many choices. So, and then that's why I'm more focused.
But even even the Joe brothers start from the very difficult beginning, but we are considered very lucky. After many years, that time I think we still young, like was 15, 16, and my brother much younger. China start to open up a little bit. That time was the late 70, 80. That kind of movement, the people, after all the 30 years, they want something very fresh idea, fresh air. And then the Joe brothers coming up in that time, in the contemporary movement in China, because the Joe brothers almost spend all their time and the dream, their effort, try to have the chance to make that kind of, in the art to explore themselves. And then during that time, we have chance to study in Shanghai, the theater college, and then we decided big job, and then to study in the Art Institute in Beijing. And then that time they say, wow, Joe brother really start to show their talent, because we never have time to show anything, express ourselves. Why? Because many chances not happen to us. But now the time is coming in China. It start to open up a little bit. And then the Joe brother just, after study, we paint a lot of group of the very special painting, like probably thousands of the painting. And then the master from Beijing, they was the dean of the Art Institute. They see a painting, say, wow, Joe brother, you really bring some very exciting thing, to the time. And then we really lucky. We see something like you from all the year, nothing, no chance, not possibility, nothing happening to you. And then now the tide is coming. And then we have the big traveling expedition.
Actually, you talk a lot, so you didn't stop.
A lot.
So my brother said, we are very lucky. I don't think we are very lucky at the time. So we have so much up and down in our life. Because, when you're a young guy, we at that time we have to send to the village to re-educate it. So actually, that time you don't see what is the future, what is hope. So that's why we continue searching and doing what we're doing. It's just because only for a belief and passion. But during this time, we got a lot of trouble. Do you remember the trouble?
We don't want to only talk in trouble. Because well, life have very difficulty, but also we also have a lot of exciting time. We don't want the people after.
But just like when we came up in the 80s, because the 80s, the China, they're talking about the 80 movement. It's about from 80 to 85 this time. It's for the China contemporary art movement. And we came out in 1982. The first time we show in the museum at the Central Academy of China. And that is the first, our solo show. And then 3 years later, we show in the National Art Museum in Beijing. That is the the biggest show in China at that time for the contemporary artists. And this museum, and then after that, and traveling to Shanghai and
Shanghai and Nanjing.
yeah. So you consider that's an exciting time?
I think that time, all the China media talking about Zhou brothers, like the People Daily and the Central TV station, all the media like talking about Zhou brothers. Who's Zhou brother in that time, the contemporary movement? Wow, we really feel like we're getting well known overnight. But that time we are also all the Chinese old master. They say, wow, they lucky to have Zhou brothers and have that kind of creative energy, bring out a lot of excitement to the time.
So I talk a little bit like in a little before us, like in the late 70s, have a group of Chinese contemporary art. It's called the Star School. And they are those artists like very political. Everything is, reflected and attacked for the China policy and the government. So those artists, they are searching, fight for the freedom for art and creation. And then, but the Zhou brother coming out, we feel like later on we read a lot of article about those, the critic. They talk about like Zhou brother, why they come out at this time, like shooting star and come out and then to the National Art Museum and travel throughout all the major institutions in China. Because our work, it cannot read the political signal. It's no political signal. It's not like nothing like reflected to the Mao or the society or the government or something. We cannot read. Is the one good thing is because you cannot label it. And it's also, but it's abstract. It's contemporary. So that's why if you cannot read and then you only can hear. You hear the master. At that time we have like film master in China. They very highly support us, like Liu Haishu and Wu Zhou, and those are people is very, just like the most important master in that time. Now they all passed away, but that time they all stand out, say, Zhou brother, they did our generation artists want to do, but we cannot do. So that's why they push Zhou brother to that spot.
Because they feel the Zhou brother, they carry the Chinese, the culture, the spirit, but also have the new, very new, like creative, that kind of great energy. That's why the whole China at that time was exciting, because China at that time, they did not open up the opportunity for the business, for too many things yet. In the beginning, the first time open up is for the great, fresh, new idea. I mean, that is, so the art is really make the big, like, impact to many people. That is a special, kind of very exciting time in China. That means it's called 80 China. Many are friends, like they are, like poet, artists, they just many new ideas. Just try to changing, to bring up some very exciting, fresh idea to China. After that time, I think me and my brother, we sitting kind of like the national hero or something, whatever. And then we was dream getting a little bigger. We say, can we, if we have chance, come to the
No, let me talk a little bit
Okay.
about that thing. So we was like, come back from the museum traveling show, and one evening, my brother and I, and one of our mentor, master, we walked by our hometown along the river in the evening, at night with the moonlight. And then our master was like very grateful. See, all our success, all what we achieve in China. And then he said one thing from his heart. He said, you both right now should looking for a bigger international stage. But unfortunately, you have no connection, have no relative in outside China. And what he say, we start to have something in our mind, we start to dream about. We dream about one day we have a bigger platform, bigger stage, and then have a much bigger impact and bigger show. So, and my master, he also said one thing. He said, I believe you both can achieve the success in such difficult China. Then I believe you will receive the success in anywhere in the world. So that's like, it's always give our great confidence since that time. And then what?
After that, because so many, the news and the magazine, everything talking about the Chinese contemporary art movement, and then talking about the Zhou brother. One day we see the letter was from the U.S. say just invite the Zhou brother come to have the exhibition in Chicago. Because the letter is take a long time, take over a month we received it. Because the letter they don't have the address, only China, the Zhou brother, China. And then who's Zhou brother? Because that time we have more people know Zhou brother. I'm glad it's much later. If before no one know Zhou brother will be thrown in the garbage, you know. And then the letter is turned to the China, the culture department, and then some, guys say, oh, Zhou brother, yeah, they know. And now they are work in their hometown, Guangxi, in the creative department right now. And then the letter goes through around, and then finally to our hand is already 1 month later. The exhibition, they invite us for the exhibition. The time is over already, over already. But we that time we say, wow, that is that's we really want it. We really want to have chance come to the international, the bigger stage. And then we just try to give them a call. They say, oh yeah, Zhou brother, say, don't worry, the ties pass, but we will make a solo exhibition for you. Okay, that's the story start from there.
So we have no idea Chicago. We only heard a little bit Chicago, like those like the worker, like the May 1st for International Workers' Day or Labor Day or something, and then also a little bit like some Agabong a little bit. So we have no idea for Chicago. But anyway, any opening, any possibility open for us, we very excited for that. So
but in the beginning, we was trying. We say, wow, it's very exciting. Finally, the two brothers say, go through all the paperwork in China, because that time was very difficult. And then we get through all this, and then finally, from the airport, go to the airplane. The first time, our mother, before we travel in China a lot in that time, he never go to the airport to say goodbye, But this time, the first time my mother was go to the airport, I remember that time in the hometown Guangxi, the airport is small. When we go to the airplane in the sky, can see the people smaller, say goodbye. One of them is our mother.
So I think my mom, she must feel like these two boys probably never come back. So that's why, and then we prepare all the thing to travel to Chicago. We brought one crate of our painting, and then 2 suitcases, and $30, and then we come to Chicago. That was November 7th. But before we come to the invitation from Chicago, but we decided we landed like in California, in LA for 1 week. 1 week, the plan is like we want to practice our English before we come to the opening. But now I know, not 1 week, even like 10 years, your English is still not so easy. And then we come to Chicago. I remember that evening before like about 8 o'clock something, from the airplane, look down Chicago, half hour before landed, you see all the light, like the ocean of light for half hour. And you feel the city is amazing. At that time, China everywhere is still dark, still so dark. Even Beijing, Shanghai is still so dark. But Chicago was amazing. And when we landed here, we have a feeling we love the city. And even when we came to Chicago at that time, it was so cold. And first of all, we have no anybody in the city here, no real connection, and we don't speak any English. And we also, our pocket is not so many things there. So, and then we was like, but we feel the city, the energy. We don't know the city that much at that time. But actually, right now, we're looking back at that time, Chicago art scene is pretty exciting. I think Lynn,
in that time, just like we are just both in the very exciting, and then the highest point in China. We believe ourselves. We say we will make it in Chicago, but the reality, we come to Chicago. That time was getting very cold. We both was walk around in the Michigan Lake. Everything white. The whole wall is white. And then for us, it's like everything just like the white canvas, just like everything is from the new beginning. That's how we create a painting. After 1 month, the dream of Chicago was right now is in the collect in the 55 East Monroe. That almost self-portrait, because everything starts from zero. Everything, no one knows Joe Brother. Nobody knows. Everything starts from here. Is another new beginning.
This is like in Chicago, we from beginning, and then later on we have a lot of friends, and we have very successful exhibition, and also the exhibition later into Armory in New York, and also in New York City gallery, and also we have a museum traveling show in Europe and Germany. But everything is started from here. Everything. That's why right now, after many years later, we still remain Chicago is our home.
Because the 80, actually, the Chicago is the art scene is very exciting.
Yeah.
Even we walk in the the Vivano, a lot of gallery just open up there, and then we remember have the bar in the corner. We always hang around there. But that time the people don't know Joe Brother yet, and we keep showing there, and then hang around there. And then after, the first show, also during the Art Chicago, a lot of dealers from Germany, from all over, they start to interesting, say, this work, who's the artist? Two brother. How can they paint together? That's a lot of question. And then also, that time, the taste of Chicago, give an interview, and then in one show, a lot of painting start to show down. And then in that building, I remember a lot of gallery, they keep coming, say, the gallery is very scary. I heard they sold out all the painting for 2 Chinese guys, Chinese artists, and then they come to check it out. But actually, it show not 100%, but show a lot. Yeah. And then Joe Brothers start to have some friends in Chicago. We are very thankful. Have a lot of early collector, like become the best friend of us. And then 1 year later, the Joe brother, I remember during your birthday, my birthday, we start in Chinatown. We have a table with invite all the friends. We know the new friend in Chicago in the beginning who give a very warm support and invite them to have a dinner, say thank you. And then I remember in 1991, we was have the armory show in that time, one of the important gallery from California, from New York, it represent a work 18 pieces. Some is very big. Also represent Rodin, Picasso or something. Joe Brothers is the youngest one, but the painting also not that expensive. The Picasso much more, a couple million. Joe Brother only that time, the expensive one only 100 something, $100. Not the dollar, 150,000, but the big one. And then we show 18 pieces sold out, and then come back. I remember with my brother, we have some drink. We say, "Oh, the city give us so much love. All the friends give us so much love. Can we do something?" And then I think from the 1991, we found the Joe Brother Art Foundation. The idea is say, all of the friends, we have a lot of friends from Europe, some poets, some writers, some photographers, some painters. Say any friend they come to United States, we provide some space for them, live for free for 3 months or something. We start to do something for return. That's how from the beginning.
I don't know. Yeah. So, people always asking how you guys work together for so long? Actually, it's very difficult. No, not so many people know it because you have a lot of things, we have a lot of conflict. Financially, not so much. Financially, we always have one box. In the early time, we have one box, and money is always put in the box. Whoever go out, just go to the box to get the money. That's how we begin, But a lot of emotional problems. Sometimes the relationship. So that's why, the family, girlfriend, woman, and that kind of thing have so much impact. I don't know if he'd like me to say that because I stopped my brother when he was seeing some girl, other girl. I stopped their relationship. I'm a bad guy for many times because I know if he go on like this, his Joe brother will be gone long time ago.
Oh, you mean if I have girlfriend, we will lost the brother, something like that.
So that's why it's like two brothers. When about 10 years ago, we have one, New York Times have one article talking about the brother collaboration and said probably in the future, the Joe brother is the longest team brother in the world working together. Probably in the future, never have this happen and never can produce anything like that anymore. I think that's...
There is one reason is because China, one child policy, no more brother.
Yeah, but that's not the main reason. I think the main reason is
It's not easy.
It's like very difficult, have a lot of sacrifice. My brother will be a lot of sacrifice for me, and for me, I think I'm not sure if he understands it. So we have a lot of sacrifice, we have to share a lot, have to appreciate each other or something like. So right now, sometimes when we have some argument for some small thing, you know, sometimes like we broke a several sculpture and painting. We really broke them because I was so angry, and then said, that's it, you know, we no more. So, and then one time when my brother and I was in Germany from Berlin, drive back to Frankfurt, like 7 hours. We don't even say a word, nothing. And then one time when we have a show in a museum in Portland, have a performance. And during this time, when we arrive to Portland, we don't talk anything. During the performance, we don't say any word. And then after that, we have a press conference. Everybody, nobody knows we haven't talked to each other for so long. But people look like it's still normal, you know. So that's why I say, like the Joe brother, our career is like sometimes it's good to have some kind of energy together, like to give, you know, a courage and something together, support. But sometimes it's like very difficult. Just like when it's some small thing we have, like, you know, what do you think? But now you're okay.
Oh, it's because he's younger, you know.
Yeah.
He say okay, it's okay.
Yeah, but now we are a little bit better. Now because we are more older, we said that's okay. Whatever, it's okay. It's more easier, and the painting collaboration also interesting is like when you're younger, you are more like yourself. You feel like you're right, and then you're very passionate or doing right thing. But actually, after many years later, we realize actually the painting collaboration, you let the other guy to destroy your part. It's better because you never have a courage, or you don't willing to destroy what you have done. But other guy coming, no reason, just like cover it, and then the magic is happen. We realize this is like really one of the greatest things for collaboration. So, and then what, like in the mid-90s, so our show started traveling in Europe and something, but we feel like Chicago, when in Europe, back and forth constantly, and when we started to get the foundation, the center here, that was
that time I think is because from the 90s we spent so many time in Europe. Have time mostly in Germany and Paris and back and forth, but we always feel Chicago is home. Why? Because the important holiday, we always back to Chicago, even little colder or Christmas or whatever. And then since 1996, because from the 90s, over 10 years, we was very well known in Germany. And we have a big museum traveling shows, so 6 very major museums in Europe. And then 1996, the college start to invite we teach in Hamburg, Germany. And then we was discussing with my brother, we say, well, in our family, 3 generations, they always teaching, professor or whatever. We say, from our generation, we forget about it, right? We just do a painter. Yeah. But we say, okay, they say, you only 5 weeks. Or we say, 5 weeks is okay.
Okay.
And then we teach their start. But after that time, until now, over 20 years, every year we have to teach. Next year, we teach in England, the 1997, and then teach in Southport every year. Like but the end we also found the teaching is interesting because you can, we are different than the professor from the art college because we look at ourselves as artists. We train the artists. We want to train them become the best artist, best painter. Our philosophy is feeling. Like feeling is liberty. Feeling is everything. Feeling is nothing. We teach the artists pick up the talent from inside. This part, my brother is a professor.
Yeah. So during all the back and forth activity from Europe here, and then we saw like in Germany they have one institution called Künstlerhaus, and the Künstlerhaus is like artist house, artist home. It's like between the museum and art center and all the institution. So we thought this very attractive institution. It's such a great idea, great playground for the artists. They hang out together all the time, discussing art, life, and anything. And also the platform is open a lot of great opportunity. And then my brother and I, we started thinking about, we would like to build something like that.
Because that time we have so many students after all the year, every year they 500-600 students from 16, 18 different countries. We select 50 students every year. And then all the students after study, they always say, oh, Joe brother, when you teach the next time or whatever. And then we was thinking, if we can create a platform like for the young talent, young artists in Chicago, it will be nice. Because the platform, the vision we are thinking, this platform is promote the young talent, the creative energy. And then here is also have some kind of artists because they belong to very special kind of sensitive, creative people. They feel have the energies together, little bit like family, but of course they are individual. And then we try to do this, and happen, have this building is available.
Yeah. So when we are in Chicago in '86, 3 months later, we moved to Bridgeport. We moved to Bridgeport. It's not because we do a lot of research. It's because we don't understand the neighborhood. And Bridgeport is the only thing we move here is one thing near to Chinatown, and the rent is not so expensive. So we rent the first place. Is like we negotiate the price. The rent is $240 for one floor. So we create a lot of big painting there inside the apartment. And then also have a lot of problem is that we create a big painting inside. When the big truck of the collector come to move the painting cannot get out. And it was a big snow outside. The truck also said we cannot wait too long. Then we have to take out the stretch inside the house and then go to the back patio to restretch again from the snow. That was give a lot of problem. But I mean the big painting from the Dream of Chicago is created at that place. And 8 months later, we bought our first house.
But I mean, now we live here for a long time, right? Over 30 years, we walk around in the neighborhood, the people recognize, oh, it's Joe brother. But in the beginning, when we come to the neighborhood, first time we come to looking for some little bigger space for studio. The two Chinese guy little bit strange. We look at the window, look at some, and then somebody say, "Oh, what you guys doing? If you don't go, I call police." I mean, actually, we did not really choose Bridgeport. We just like the seed like blow in the air, you know. We just happened to drop here.
And Bridgeport is definitely have no any artists here at that time. So we are coming in the first one. We 8 months later we bought our first house. The first thing we did is build a new door. The new door is like artists live inside, you know, build a structure or something, a new door, and change the look. And then many times we looking for houses like in different neighborhood, Evanston or whatever, Wilmette or something, a lot of neighborhood. We try to see, because at that time our bridge was still much trouble.
But it's good energy, right?
It's good energy.
Like New York.
I know, but we want too much trouble, but we don't know if it's the right choice or not, and then we want to move to different places, and the end we still come back. And so now we looking back, actually we have so much like connection to Bridgeport, and today we are very happy to see Bridgeport at least have like more than a couple thousand of artists here now. So this has become a great community for art, and we are now looking back have so many stories. But I think we feel like our first like the instant feeling, smell for this area, it was right. So.
You're right.
So yeah, we right now today
Well, I mean, like sometimes the life is the story is funny. Like when we come to Bridgeport, no one know who's these two guys, and then we live here for a long time. But we are try to be very humble in the neighborhood, because the neighborhood that time was not like today, a little bit more wild. And then we only painting, and that when we doing the museum traveling show in Europe, a lot of curator director come to visit brother. Sometimes in the very snow, very like cold winter, they all learn, say, "Oh, Bridgeport is beautiful." It's because your brother here. And then today, many years go by, we're happy to see a lot of artists move to the neighborhood. Also, even in the art center, we bring in a lot of artists, also from Europe, from like Italy, from Germany, England, all over. They have exhibition here, create something here. Even a president like Obama, like in the 6 months ago, was the big fundraising was in this building. I think the great energy to create, to fulfill the space is make it become special. Yeah, today we feel very peace.
Yeah, I'm happy to see a lot because every third Friday we have so much activity here. Artists, like we have a problem for parking, like too many cars packed. But I mean, this kind of energy, I think the city is good for the city. A city needs this, and also like in the society needs this.
I think everything is start from the story. The dream is start from the smaller and getting maybe bigger.
Yeah.
Now the Joe brother, they just purchased one big school in Kansas City, and also have a big land We want to create a sculpture garden and a beautiful art center there. And also in Beijing, we have the Zhoubi Art Center, just right on the Tiananmen there. It's the government give the building to Zhou brother. He want to bring the international, the energy and the excitement to Beijing. But many things is just like another new beginning for us.
Yeah, but anyway, we never, when we was young, we never imagined after we grow up, we go very, very far away from home. And then we landed, and then we seated in Chicago and make Chicago as a home. And I think now as our home, in the future, will remain our main spot here.
Because Chicago is one of the city we have been live the longest time in our life. Because we live in Beijing for a few years, Shanghai a few years, our hometown. But Chicago is our home, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
All the Christmas we are here, so. Thank you very much for.
Thank you.
Well, thank you both for that wonderful presentation, for sharing your life experience and also your artistic, experience with everybody. And they're truly artists of our beloved city of Chicago and also of the world. And it's really a big part of the Chicago art narrative, which features, goes so well with the whole Art Design Chicago project, funded by the Terra Foundation. And I'm sure you'll have some questions for the Zhou brothers. And we have a couple of mics floating around. And make sure they're not too personal, so. There we go.
Good evening, gentlemen. I'm curious to know, when you first came to Chicago, how much did you interact with the Chicago artistic community at that time? Were you seeing shows at the Hyde Park Art Center, the School of the Art Institute? Were you interacting with some of the other painters in Chicago, either those who grew up in Chicago or came here to study at the School of the Art Institute?
Well,
And in addition to that, is there a point at which you stop primarily thinking of yourselves as Chinese painters based in Chicago and instead as Chicago painters?
For me, I like to think I'm a Chicago artist. But in reality, I think for many people, take a long time for them to say they are Chicago artists. They are the artists from China. I think this for a very long time until last year or the year before, when I remember when we received the Distinguished Artist Award from Union League Club, and then I say one word, and then people I see their reaction. I said, finally, this is first time, finally I feel Chicago accept the Zhou brothers. So this is how I feel, because it's, for me personally, I feel that way, but I did not have chance to ask a lot of people, said, what do you think? What do you think, I'm a Chicago artist or I'm an artist from China? So I don't know. I think for a lot of institution or something, I have no idea. I don't read their mind, but that's not important.
Because we have no way back anyway. Because the Zhou brother, after left China in the 85, he was the big leader, hero in China. But after all the years, 30-some years, we never go back China. In the Chinese, like the art history or something, only right to 85, and then the Zhou brother disappeared. And then they never counted the Zhou brother as the Chinese contemporary artist. Never, the many people belong, the Chinese artists belong to Chinese, the contemporary artist group. We are only, was the Mysterio, like the big hero in that time, boom, and then disappeared. And then many people look at us from Germany, from all they look at Joe Brother, I don't know what they think, but
I think like when in Europe and Germany in the 90s, and people they talk about Joe Brother, they said, "Oh, Joe Brother from America." But just like what I just say, in Chicago, right now so many years now, maybe they should say, "Yeah, Joe Brother from Chicago," or maybe still have some still say they're from China. Yeah. We live here, it's much longer than when we spend time live in China. But of course right now our problem is that we don't speak perfect English, and then we lost a little bit Chinese too. So, yeah. Okay.
Well, I just have to say I really appreciate that you're Chicago residents and that you live here in Bridgeport. And, I was honored to be able to use your space when I first ran for office, and I had my kickoff here, and then I also had my victory party when I won for state representative. And it's been great to have you in the district. And we've had the pleasure of visiting you at your studio and watching, or seeing your work environment. So my question is, with regard to collaboration, are your paintings always 50-50 collaborations? Or, does one of you have a particular strength that you always emphasize and another one emphasizes something else? Or, I guess I'm just curious about the nature of your collaboration and, to what extent they're 50-50 collaborations or other, another percentage maybe.
What do you think?
It's not 50-50 anymore. Sometimes my brother don't even dare. But, because you have so many years to working together, we go through three different stages. So one is like you have a lot of discussing, you share your idea, philosophy, thinking, you try to make everything harmony in the painting. That's one step. And then the big jump to another step is like, you don't care what he thinks. You don't care what he want to do, or you don't even care what he has done there. You just put your thing and mark and there. Even you can erase its painting and something. We realize this destruction is another new creation. So there's another big step. So right now is when sometimes it's good to be he's not there, and even better sometimes it's because the conflict is not be created intentionally, but the conflict is great for the developing of the painting. Yeah. Thank you. Hey, I remember one thing you're talking about, like Joe Brother is Chicago or American or Chinese. I remember when we was in 2011 in the White House, when Obama introduced the Joe Brother to the president from China, and he said, Joe Brother is from my hometown, Chicago.
Yeah.
You've done everything, so many things in your career. Do you have something left that you just really, really want to do that you haven't gotten a chance to do?
Too many things we want to do. Sometimes we feel like, we able to do it or not, because his dream is always so big, and then the ability and idea is so limited. But I feel like if I have, with my brother, have another 30 years career collaboration, we will bring a lot more excitement to our time. Thank you.
I know you guys you've taught, around the globe. Do you guys ever teach here in Chicago?
Not exactly, because we in Europe, we have a lot of commitment to a lot of the academy. And we feel like Chicago is more like, when we come back here, our studio is more like our main focus. So that's why right now we also have several professorship in China, but we only agree to have a certain limited time we will be shared with them. But I think Chicago is our home base. We are more focused here, spend time in the studio and spend time with friends. So,
Safety zone.
yeah. So I think today, thank you very much for such hot afternoon and come to Joby Art Center. So thank you very much.
Good to see you.